I'm with Vijay. I could not wait to get into this podcast because of the amazing panel discussion experience you gave us.
That's very kind. Thank you.
And I was just telling you now, some of the things that you touched are the heart and soul of the early stage. I just want you to tell the audience as to what you do and where you fit in to an entrepreneur's life at the stage you do.
Well, firstly, thank you very much for having on this
My pleasure.
wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
I am in the venture capital industry as an investor. My current role is the managing director at Techstars. Techstars is a most active pre-seed investor in the world today. We focus on early stage technology companies. Early stage, I mean from ideation to what we deem as seed stage. And these companies typically are in the very formative stage of their business life, where they are developing a product, they're discovering their MVP, getting the first client, possibly in some cases have revenue. So very early stages. The market is unforgiving in terms of, could you prove that this is scalable? Could you prove that this could be a viable business? It's a really difficult space for the entrepreneur to be at.
Absolutely.
But we take pride in believing in the entrepreneur's dream, in building great companies. And my role as the investor, I have both a privilege and a burden. The privilege is that I get to discuss amazing individuals who excite me every day with their beliefs and their discovery of opportunities. And the privilege of making that first decision to invest in these companies. And in many instances, we are the first institutional investor. And you can think for a moment what that means, the significance of being the first investor to a founder. You are a founder yourself. It's a huge validation,
Yeah.
right? To say that, hey, I got someone who really believes in me. So the first investor is often a big deal.
That's the first support pillar.
For sure. But the burden then is, of course, on both sides. I'm taking a decision on behalf of other investors who are putting capital into our fund, often backed by corporates, sovereign wealth funds, family offices, individual investors, and what have you. And we have to give a return on our capital. And so giving that return on capital in this business is a tough business. It's brutal. But I'm proud to say we've discovered a business model that has been given very consistent returns. I won't say it in your podcast, but I would say above average than, say, your average S&P returns.
Oh.
And so that's a burden on our shoulders as an investor to make those decisions. But the second thing, which is really interesting, is that there's a relationship being formed between the investor and the founder. And often it becomes a partnership of sorts, both not on the commercial terms, but more in the essence of a partner as a support, as a mentor, as, your sounding board. And sometimes I get asked very direct questions, Vijay, is this something I should be doing? Do you believe this is the direction I should heading in terms of doubling down my investments in, say, the engineering team, or doubling down my investments in marketing? Now, I'm a human being with my limited experience. Obviously, I have an opinion, but sometimes that opinion may land in the wrong direction. And so that burden that I have to also give the right size opinions, hopefully will land in the right place, is also what I'm incumbent with, part of this job.
When I talk to you, you're the kind of investor. I'm not saying it to you just for the sake of saying it, because we know how big your organization is. And if anybody in that space, tech space, doesn't know, they shouldn't really be developing and looking into tech. So I'm really honored actually to be sitting with you. Now, just talking to you, the comfort and the encouragement that you get, that's more than money. I don't think tech companies, anybody find challenge to raise funds. I think that's the easy part. I think it's finding somebody who understands them and they align. That's number one. And you do that very well. The way you talk and you level up, that's the comfort. Because you'll bear in mind, tech people is an idea. Majority of the time, if we're talking about AI and crypto, we can't see it. You can't touch it. It's just mostly. So you have to believe in that person. And what you said earlier is just to understand them and to support them is the first thing. Tech people are not business people. I would, majority of the people I say, they have a technology and suddenly something comes up and they said, okay, that's a business. Besides money, how do you shape them? Because that's where I see the fail is. Maybe fail is the wrong word. That's where they fall short and they can't move forward. So besides money, where are you supporting and where should they get the support?
Yeah, I think I love the question because I said more than money is really what I'm seeking for is really that, as you rightly pointed out earlier, a lot of the founders are technical founders. We like technical founders because, frankly, the term is a cliche, smart money. And the idea is that we can add value beyond just writing a check. And smart money really simply means we can bring connections, we can bring expertise in terms of core curriculum of building a good business, what are the fundamentals. We can bring an army of mentors who have expertise in every aspect of disciplines, for example, AI, to marketing, to growth hacking, and so on and so forth. And then surround them, these founders, with these incredible resources that typically money cannot buy. Yes. Because people who contribute the exchange of ideas and exchange of knowledge and so on, they're doing it for two reasons. One is primarily to give back to the community. And so we see ourselves as a platform in which the community gathers, we galvanize it, and they then contribute to the founders in that way. It's really hard to do it independently of that as an individual. And so the Capital Plus program and plus perks and benefits, which we have affiliated corporations around the world that want to give and get access to our portfolio companies, we package that as a value proposition. But fundamentally, me as the investor or the managing director at Techstars, I enjoy investing, not because they're to make money per se. That's a given because there's an obligation to give a return on investment on the capital that you deploy. But I'm an entrepreneur myself. I've gone through my life experiences and I built businesses. I have seen failures and multiple times over. And so the joy of having to do it multiple times again without my own ownership of business, if you like, but through the lens or through the arms and legs of someone else, and seeing them succeeding is the biggest gift I can have, the privilege to do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so happy that I'm getting like goosebumps sometimes because I feel the frustration, the challenge of the entrepreneurs. I've been through it. I've sat on my own for 8 years in rooms and just staring. But only I know, the world doesn't know. I'm not the only one. There are millions of entrepreneurs out there. Hence why I have gone on this journey. So we're starting this talk called Vision of the Visionaries, where I bring in people like you, people like us in a room and say, okay, go on, let's talk. Simple reason, so they can hear from people like you. Because mentorship has become the most expensive thing in my eyes. And if through this conversation, these dialogues, somebody out there, one person out there that picks it up, and if I can make that change, then for me, that's an accomplishment. I mean, I did Embrace podcast. And when somebody said, I didn't know I could come and just do that. And they come in repeat. And somebody said to me, what have you achieved with that? I said, I've already achieved what I wanted to achieve. I don't need to achieve more. For me now, I'm just sitting on a bonus. And money is not everything. So thank you very much for being so humble in your conversation. There are a lot of people coming to Dubai now. And if they wanted to come and approach you, and they wanted to frame it, and so obviously there's no perfect pitch deck, they wanted to come through you. I know you said that I want to understand the people, I can smell the opportunities. How should they prepare, and not only for you, for generally for the market, how should they prepare and how should they take off before they go for investment?
So I think the first ever founder's journey is really not about a business plan or a strategy or a vision. They really need to discover for themselves a conviction. And the conviction is about a problem they really want to solve in the marketplace. That's it. That's the first step. You got to be able to wake up in the morning having this burning desire. I'm going to solve this for the world. And I'm the best person to do it. Until you can have the conviction to do this, don't bother coming to speak to any investors. Because I think to say I have an idea or I have a product or solution, it almost sounds like I borrowed this idea from somewhere else, I can do it in my market. Yeah. And I know a few investors, we can, somehow spin it in a way that, I can get some investors coming in and make some money. Truly, most investors know that. So it's a waste of time. I think having that conviction is really a starting point, and it's hard to land there because it takes a while to, as you rightly said, circulate and percolate in your mind to get some refinement from what it really is that you're trying to solve. But once you hit that point, there's no turning back. And I say this with intention because you can relate to this. The journey of the entrepreneur is fraught with danger and obstacles. So there are more reasons for someone to say, why are you doing this? It's a waste of time. It's really going to burn you out. But the only factor that can actually see failure to success is resilience. And where does that come from? It comes from the conviction that I'm going to solve something.
You can tell with the way I'm breathing. When we are young, we're told, go and get education, job. You go to school, education, job. Go to university, lecturers, let's prepare for a job. I haven't come across a institute yet that says, okay, let's prepare them to go and start a business. You have these little business courses and stuff. It's not same. It's very different. Obviously, you have, whenever you think of a business idea, like you said, why? It's risky. No, don't do that. Other people have done it. You get very few that will support you that journey. How do you know that you're onto something, but and it's bound to not go the way you expected. That's our life. Tomorrow is another day. We got to wake up and face another challenge. How do you keep on going every day? What have you seen? The ones that succeed, what is it that they have, that key thing that they have?
Yeah, that's a tough one to answer. I think motivations is a whole range of different factors that touches on people on different levels. Some are motivated, driven by childhood experiences, that they had a traumatic experience that they want to solve it. Some individuals may have lost a family member or themselves may have gone through a health trauma. And they said, well, no one's solving this. I'm going to find the next discovery for this cancer cure, for example. Others might see that there's a shift in demographics or political landscape or regulation that opens up new opportunities. And with a fresh sense of lens, say, well, here's an opportunity for me to pursue. So the motivations would be different, of course. And if I can just digress to something that you talked about earlier, when you think about entrepreneurs, it's lonely in the top, as you rightly said. And a lot of successful entrepreneurs did not excel in school. And there's a reason for that. Many of them find it difficult to pay attention to a teacher in the front of the classroom. They don't take instructions too easily. And so where I think entrepreneurs thrive is in an environment that they can engage with peers. And when I use the word mentor, in many instances, is not mentoring down. Is a two-way conversation, as if you're talking to a peer. But they want to have the ability to make those options and decisions independent of someone giving an instruction. So in other words, a mentor could be sitting in the room with a founder on multiple occasions, on different conversations from technology to marketing to building a great team. But ultimately, the founder is accountable in taking back what is relevant and what he is going to be executing, i.e. what's actionable. And that is where it resonates with the entrepreneur the most, that he learns best from peer-to-peer exchange of ideas and sharing versus instructions being told, thou shalt do this. And that is why you find a lot of entrepreneurs don't excel in classrooms, but excels in the, in the world there's no rules, because they're really good at picking up the signal from the noise in the environment.
You know what, you've just said something, and I have to say this. This is one thing I always say to founders. Don't rush in with the investment. Know what you want to do. Because some people think, okay, he's giving me money, he's my investor, he is low. I totally disagree. Regardless of what happens, the liability is with you. Someone's giving you money, you got to make it work. It's your job to pick out the best part that works with you, that suits your model. Not necessarily an outsider. Now you've taken a mentor or an investor on to guide you and help you. They've not had that first-hand experience in your business. So what you've just said, you just hit the nail on the head. Vijay, this conversation can go on all night. But I know you're busy, and I really appreciate the time you've given me. I have to have another conversation with you. And with your permission, I will invite you back again on a subject topic, which I'm going to ask the audience what they want to hear. Because we're not short of Techstars. If you look at D-Tech, where I had my last company, that's full of them. I know of a horrific story. I won't say it on the podcast. I know of a horrific story of a young lad, very smart, very promising, ended his life.
Sorry to hear that.
And I lived with that because I used to work with him day in, day out. I lived with that for several years. And I never told no one this till today. And we were working together, seeing him every night. After 8 o'clock, you can be guaranteed till 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. There's a couple of guys you're going to find in D-Tech. I was one of them, and he was one of them, and he's no longer with us. But he was offered 80, 90,000 in salary. He did without that. He lost his family to chase a dream. So you do have this kind of people out there that need to hear from you. And there are a lot of burning questions that I have. So I want to thank you very much for the opportunity. And definitely, again, I'm going to invite you back again to our studio and have a lengthier conversation. And
thank you. It'll be my true pleasure.
Thank you very much.
For having me.
Thank you.